What's going on, guys? Welcome back to your Lake Fork Guide. It's time for our Lake Fork Summer Bass Fishing 2022 bi-weekly report from multiple Lake Fork guides. We're going to give you all the details of what's going on now from different guides' point of view. Going to break down how to catch more and bigger fish. That's what we're all about here, your Lake Fork Guide. Loving our fellow man, helping each other catch more and bigger fish. So we're going to try and do that the best way we know how tonight. Cheers, y'all. Thank you guys for joining us once again. This is live. We're not always going to be able to do these live. Tonight I was able to do this one live, so I wanted to, so that possibly I can field some questions for you guys towards the end. But we're going to go ahead and get into these reports right before we do a couple of plugs, announcements, whatever you want to call them. Hey, first thing is, I've got a few different guides working with me. Obviously, we got several guys working with us. We got a couple different guides, plus myself, giving reports tonight. These guys spend their time in their evenings after they've been working all day in a busy time of year for fishing guys. And honestly, your Lake Fork Guide with us, it's kind of busy year round. We're fortunate to be blessed, and Lake Fork fishes good year round overall. And we're in Texas where we can fish year round. So these guys that we work with, they stay busy year round. They're running these long days, man. I don't know how many of you guys understand what goes into guiding, but you start early, you end late. It ain't no 9 to 5, it's a 5 to 9. And these guys still take the time to write these reports and communicate with me about what we need to communicate to you guys to help y'all catch fish for absolutely free. So big shout out and thank you to every guide that helps me. Over at yourlakeforkguide.com, you can book trips with all of us there. But the main deal is I just want to say a big thank you to these guys, because what we do here through the social media content, what we do as a guide business, everything that we do, whether it's our fishing app, whether it's our boat lanes, whether it's anything that we do at Your Lake Fork Guide as a whole, we would not be half the company that we are today if it wasn't for these other guides that work with me and are so generous with their time and their efforts. And we all work together to help each other out. And I hope that I can repay them and give them some back with my efforts as well. So big thank you to all the guides that have ever worked with us at Your Lake Fork Guide. By the way, if you want to book a guide trip, listen, Lake Fork, we're real honest around here. We tell you when it sucks. It does not suck right now. It's not good every day for everybody. No lake ever is. Look at any Elite Series, Bass Pro Tour, FLW, any of those type of tournaments that you want to look at. It's never a case where everybody's catching them. So it's not that you can't have a bad day on Lake Fork. But overall, Lake Fork is fishing really good. And we finally got to the time of year now. It's been coming, it's been coming, it's been coming. We're going to talk about it tonight. Those fish are pulling offshore in significant numbers day by day as these water temperatures continue to increase. The water temps are getting up into the upper 70s and even at times lower 80s, even on the main lake. So now we've gotten to that kind of magical number that gets those fish positioning offshore. With the lake being in the current condition it's in, Lake Fork's about 5.5 foot low, give or take. It's been 6 to 6.5 foot low leading up to this. There's no shoreline cover. There's no vegetation in the lake to speak of. These fish are all going to live their lives offshore throughout the summer. Guys, I'm going to tell you, probably the best bite of the year on Lake Fork is going to be from right now, this week going forward. The most consistent good bite of the year is normally in the springtime. I think the most consistent good bite this year for everybody, whether you're coming for a weekend, whether you're booking a guide trip, just the overall consistency of quality fish catches is going to be the best in June, July, and August this year because of the low water levels. Normally it's March, April, May, but with June, July, August being what's going on with the lake being low, these fish are all going to position offshore for the most part. And man, we are going to be able to really dial them in and get after them. The bite is going to be very consistent. They're not going to have as many shallow options as they normally have. So the bite is going to remain consistent throughout the summer. That's what's about to happen, what is starting to happen now. In my opinion, it is a great time for you guys to book a guide trip. A great time for you guys to book a guide trip. You can learn about electronics. I know a lot of people want to learn to fish offshore. This is the best year we've had in many, many, many years to learn how to fish offshore at Lake Fork. It is a phenomenal time to book a guide trip. So if you want to, you can book a guide trip with myself or several of our excellent guides that we work with. A couple you'll hear from tonight on our reports. And you can do that at yourlakeforkguide.com. The other announcement is with Lake Fork being low, it's dangerous to navigate. If you're not going to book a guide, you're going to spend time out there on your own. I would highly encourage you to do so because the fishing is going to be so consistently good this summer. But with the lake being low, it is very dangerous. I mean, very extremely dangerous to navigate Lake Fork right now. You're going to want to have some help in that, especially if you're not super familiar with the lake. Hey, we've got a Pro Lanes, a boat lanes chip that we call Your Lake Fork Guide Pro Lanes. Patrick Walters has used it, Brian New has used it, Alex Redwine has used it. Many of the Elite Series guys, when they were here, we only had Lowrance available, so it was the Lowrance unit guys. Now we have Humminbird Helix, Humminbird Solix, and Lowrance units available for the Your Lake Fork Guide Pro Lanes. If you need help navigating Lake Fork, and you want, in the words of Lake Fork locals, not my words, but what I have been told by Lake Fork locals who have ran all of the different boat lanes chips out there, if you want the very best boat lanes chip with the most information and just the best overall help for navigating Lake Fork, you're going to want to get the Your Lake Fork Guide Pro Lanes navigation chip. It's available at yourlakeforkguide.com as well. It's also available to buy in person at Lake Fork Marina. If you're coming for the owners tournament, run over there to Lake Fork Marina and pick up the Your Lake Fork Guide Pro Lanes chip available for Humminbird Helix, Humminbird Solix, as well as the Lowrance. That's it. We're done plugging stuff. We're done talking about stuff. Let's get into these reports. Now, this week I reached out to two of my favorites and two of the most consistently good guys that I know. We've got Cord Hutkins, talks to us a lot. He's a great guy, a great guy and a great guide. But, you know, he travels a lot and fishes tournaments. He's not always on the lake consistently. But two of the guys that are out there all the time and that are really consistently as good as anybody on the lake and have been as good as any fisherman on the lake the last couple months is David Ozio and Cody Mays. So let's get it started in our bi-weekly report with David Ozio. David Ozio says, as of 2 weeks ago, things have changed for the dramatic. That shallow wood bite has gone to heck in a handbasket. David has an artful way of wording things when he writes. It's amazing. Heck in a handbasket, and the big girls have started their move towards their summer haunts. Surface temps in the high 70s have seemed to keep these fish grouped up in the 19 to 22 foot range, and we have been wailing on them. It's a no-holds-barred game, and productivity is the name of the game. Cold fronts will slow this deep bite somewhat. We've had a couple cold fronts lately. You guys know that. But it recovers quickly. As June rolls in, I see these fish moving even deeper to grab a snack on the sand bass and yellow bass that lurk on the ledges. Use your electronics to locate these schools, and it will be game on. Hey, that's exactly what's going on. These fish are finally gathering. Now, I would disagree a little bit with David in the depth. He said 19 to 22. I've been finding them more in the 15 to 20 range. I will tell you, early in the day, it's closer to 15. Later in the day, they do get out to 20 to 25. So really almost 15 to 25. Depends on the sunlight penetration, the temperature of the day. I mean, you know, fishing is a moving target. So you got to have an open mind. But I would open that depth window up anywhere from 15 to 25 feet, leaning towards the 15 feet early in the day and moving out as the day goes on. But really the main thing is lean on your electronics, okay, to get the location precise on where these schools of fish are setting up on offshore structure. Let's talk to Cody Mays for a second. He says he's currently primarily fishing points, road beds, and pond dams anywhere from 15 to 25 feet. There you go, same deal. We are catching our fish with a 6 cents Divine Shaky Head in 5/8 or 7/8 ounce, paired with a 6 cents Plum 9-inch Shaky Head or Big Perm, that's Smash Stack Magnum Crawler, in Plum or Fake Out. So purples and pinks and reds are the colors of the Shaky Head worm Cody's talking about. Also with a Carolina rig with an Impact Shad, that's a fluke style bait. Impact Shad's Mark Pack, passed away, legend. His company lives on through his wife and his business partner. They still are making the Impact Shad, the Mark Pack Shad. It is a phenomenal bait. It's a jointed fluke. It's great on a Carolina rig, no doubt about it. Early in the morning, Cody is fishing clay points with a 6 cents catwalk and picking up decent fish. Now, Cody's report sounds borderline identical to mine. So next we're going to read the report from myself, Billy Lawson, your Lake Fork guide. Well, the founder of Your Lake Fork Guide. All these guys, David Ozio's Your Lake Fork Guide, and so is Cody Mays, and so is a lot of guys. But the original Your Lake Fork Guide, myself, here's my report that I wrote up for you guys. Starting the mornings off using a 6 cents catwalk topwater bait. You can find those at 6centsfishing.com, by the way. And if you go order some, be sure you use the code Your Lake Fork Guide. You'll save 10% on anything you order at that website. We are throwing these around shallow areas with steep drop-offs, such as bridge aprons, the dam, and points with steep drops on the side. This will last an hour or two depending on cloud cover in the mornings. Then we are using our electronics to locate schools of offshore fish in 15 to 20 foot of water. These fish are relating to all kinds of structures, so anything with depth change and a feeding plateau can work. Hopefully you guys understand what I mean. It's got a sharp drop-off and somewhere up top for it to feed. Now that can be a point, a pond dam, a road bed, a hump, a lot of different things. But if it's got a flat spot on top with a drop off on it, these fish will utilize the structure right now. Typically we can narrow down the structure for you guys to long main lake points, pond dams, road beds. Right now it's any and all. They just seem to be on all of the different structures right now. The best baits have been a big shaky head with big straight tail worms in red, pink, or purple based colors, just like Cody Mays, and a Carolina rig bubble fry, Smash Tech bubble fry, and chartreuse pepper is also working, as well as a big 3/4 ounce jig with a stroker crawl on the back. You can choose crawl bait of your choice. I like the 6 inch Divine hybrid jig and the 6 inch stroker crawl. That's my pairing. These are the baits that have been working best. These are the areas that have been working best. Those are our reports for the last couple weeks now. This is a bi-weekly program now. The last time we put out one of these reports was 3 weeks ago. I had a lot going on 3 weeks ago, and I did not get the video out on YouTube, but on Facebook, on the Billy Lawson Lake Fork Guide Facebook page, we posted these reports with pictures 3 weeks ago. I will do my best, and I think we're good to go going forward on getting this out every 2 weeks going forward. So you guys should see them with regularity. What I do want to do right now is show you guys a few pictures from the last few weeks. That's a big one from just yesterday. The funny thing is we got several more pictures of really good fish from this day that we're not going to see tonight. But here comes some more pics from our other guys. There's David. There's a customer. And you can see as you see that right there, guys, these are all posted on Facebook on our reports as well. As you can see, the big fish have been pouring into the boats. Look at that, 3 at a time. How about that? Isn't that amazing? The big fish have just been pouring into the boats out here in Lake Fork. It has been pretty darn good. I think that's the last, yep, 40. That was 40 fish pictures we just showed you. That's all Facebook will allow you to post at once. Otherwise, I would have shown you a whole bunch more. In fact, here's some that we didn't use from Cody Mays. I'll show you a few of these. I'm not sure how many he sent me, but here's some that Cody Mays has been catching. There you go. So I'm just like, we've got more and more, like, there's still more pictures that I haven't shown you guys from the last 3 weeks. So it's just been a lot of big fish caught over the last few weeks. Like I said, not every day is great for every angler, but a lot of days are really, really good right now. It's fishing about as steady, good, and consistent as it can. I'm super excited about this summer. My June is completely full, but we have other guides that can get you out on a few more June dates. I will tell you, if you want to get out in the month of June, you need to call us or message us at yourlakeforkguide.com right now, because these dates won't last. We're going to fill everybody up that we work with for June, no doubt. July, we have a few dates available in July, of course. August, going forward, yes, we can get you out. But right now, June is looking real good, and I think July and August are going to be just as good. So if you guys want to get out with us at Your Lake Fork Guide, you know what to do. Man, I appreciate you guys watching this report video. Now, bone color? Yeah, bone color is good on the top water. Fish mode, so I wanted to answer a few questions. That's what I was about to say. We can answer a few questions. Fish Mo asks, bone color top water? Yes, bone color is good. I think maybe I have one because I took my boat to get maintenance done, so I took all my rods out of it. That's why you guys see all these rods laying up against my couch in my garage right here. I took my rods out of my boat today because I had to go get a little maintenance done on my boat, just normal, everyday stuff. Nothing broke or anything, but just regular maintenance. Bone color is good. This color is good as well. It's almost a bone color. It's white with a black top, but it's got those shad scales. So I've been using that color on the Catwalk topwater, as well as I think their bone color is called Spanish Bone Pearl. This is a prototype. Can't show you too much of that, but been using that color. So yes, bone color is good. It will work. Just anything white pretty much will work. Coming to Lake Fork for Father's Day, what's the best pattern to get on them? Basically everything we just said. I think we've answered that question in this video for sure. Fished Fork since 1994, and your lanes are awesome. Showed me a few new shortcuts. How about that? Man's been fishing Lake Fork since 1994, and the Your Lake Fork Guide Pro Lanes were able to show even him some new shortcuts. Thank you very much for that feedback. Like I said, it's not my words saying they're the best. It is local guys to Lake Fork that have run all the boat lane chips there are. It's the words of them that say that your Lake Fork Guide Pro Lanes are the best. Been killing it with bed fishing. Dang, buck bass love to bite shaky worm tails off. Any tips on how to get them to eat it other than changing baits? No, I don't bed fish with worms. Like everything that I bed fish with, I use a short you must be somewhere north of here if you bed fishing. But everything I bed fish with is short, compact baits. I never like to use long baits for bed fishing for that reason. They will tend to bite the back of the bait when they're on a bed. Any tips on fishing a lake that's 24 feet low? I need to know what type of lake that is, where it is. Is it a mountainous lake, steep banks? 24 feet low at Lake Fork would basically be a dry creek bed. 24 feet low on Lake Falcon is no big deal. It just 24 feet low is not the same depending on what lake you're talking about. Eagles 20 John, is that John Sykes? Eagles 20 John, is that you, John Sykes? He said he was in Nebraska. My bed fisherman said he's in Nebraska. So I know there's a guy on Facebook that always has been talking lately about bed fishing. So that's why I was asking if it was him. Fane, let me know where your lake is at, what type of lake it is, because depending on that answer can drastically change the answer to how you fish that lake when it's 24 foot low. Eagles 20, that is John Sykes. There you go. John, man, yeah, quit using that shaky head worm, bro. Use the Krube and the Stroker Crawl from 6 Hits. They're short, compact baits with thin appendages that move with very little water pressure. That's the kind of baits you want to use when you're bed fishing. Very similar to Falcon, but in Oklahoma. So a steep, rocky type of impoundment. Well, that is where deep water to shallow water transitions come into play the most whenever the lake is low. Just like, so Lake Fork being 5 foot, 6 foot low is equivalent to a Lake Falcon being 20 foot low. It's about the same. It plays about the same, as crazy as that sounds. All it does is it concentrates fish, it pulls them off the bank, and it pulls them onto structures where they can access deep water quickly. Hopefully that all clicks with you and helps you understand the types of areas that you need to focus on a lake that's 20 foot low. I cranked and cranked today. All they would do is chase. Change colors 4 or 5 times. Any favorite color reference on DD cranks? Citrus Shad is my favorite color. It's hard to find these days. It's not a popular color anymore, but I love Citrus Shad. Shad Drone in the 6 cent series is a great shad color. Of course, Chartreuse Blueback is just money, but don't get bent out of shape about the color. If you're cranking and all they're doing is chasing and not committing to it, bro, change presentations. Throw a swim bait on a jig head. Throw a hair jig. Throw a flutter spoon. Throw a jig out there and hop it. Change your presentations. If they're chasing your bait and not committing and eating it, that tells you right there you need to change your presentation. Do something to make them commit. Make them bite. What do I think about those big swim baits like the Depths 250? And do you use them on fork? Yeah, I mean, I used to use a lot more than I do now. Those are hard baits to use when you're guiding, just because a lot of people aren't good enough at casting to cast them on guide trips. Not cast them far enough. I mean, that's an important part about throwing big swim baits. You need to make super long casts in order to give the fish enough time to follow it and commit to it, because that's what they do. You know, it's something when I was just getting into guiding, I was really getting into swim baiting, and then it kind of did not work out. Like big swim baits don't work as well for guides for the most part. So, hang on just a second. Breaking news right now. I'm getting a picture from one of our guides that says 12.5. So this is live. This is happening in real time. I apologize, folks. Bear with me. Okay, so it wasn't one of his customers. It wasn't him. It was his uncle. Gotta love live TV. I got all excited. I thought one of our guys was sending me a picture of 12. I'll show you a picture. Drop it in the comments, folks. Who wants to see a pic of a 12.5 anyway? It's actually Cody Mays' uncle went and fished a spot that Cody Mays sent him to and caught a 12.5. Who wants to see a picture of 12.5? Let me know. We'll show it to you right now. John Sykes says, when he books a trip, I can use swim baits all he wants. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Listen, every once in a while we get a trip like that where a guy's like, hey man, you can use those big swim baits. I want to use those big swim baits. All that good stuff. So, all right, we're getting some, more or less, basically everybody in the comment is saying, hell yeah, they want to see a 12.5. Well, and look who just joined the chat. It's Cody Mays. That's a 12.5 pound bass caught out of Lake Fork. Cody Mays, that's his uncle. He told his uncle to go fish that spot, and he caught him a 12.5. Hey, this is real time, man. This is real stuff, live, real time. Guys, I'm telling you, your Lake Fork guide, we work really, really, really hard to put people on fish. And it's always going down, man. It's always like we've always got guys on fish, and we work together to keep each other on fish and to make sure all of our customers are happy. If you want trips, the place you want to go, and I say this with as much humility as I can, we've worked really hard to build a good group of guys over the years. We've had some come and go. We've weeded some out, so to speak. But we've got a great group of guys right now that work extremely hard. None of us are claiming to be the best fishermen on Lake Fork or any lake for that matter. We're not saying that at all. But we are at least as hard, if not harder working, every single one of us as individuals, as any guides you'll find anywhere in the country. And I'm really proud of that. We've got good people, good guys that are outworking everybody at least as hard, if not harder, than everybody else in the business. And I'm super proud of what we've built at your Lake Fork Guide. So if you want a guide trip with some honest dudes that'll bust their butt for you to have a really good time, holler at us at yourlakeforkguide.com and get you a guide trip. We'll do you right. Here's a pretty crazy question. This is a good one. Fishmo says, shad started spawning a month ago, and there's schools of 1-inch fry in the lake. What's your go-to baits when fry are on top and different schools at 5-foot depth? Man, I'm going to finesse those fish. And I don't like finesse fishing. I fish in dirtier waters, somewhat stained water most of the time. I'm a winder. I like to wind. I'm a power fisherman at heart. But in that situation, very small bait, shallow water, man, I'm probably going to go wacky worm. I'm going to go real finesse, get like a 6-inch divine shaky head worm like this one right here that just so happens to be sitting there, a little 6-inch, 6.5-inch zoom trick worm like the old methiolate right there. You know, things like that. We're going to wacky rig that with a half nail wit in the head, fish it real slow in the areas and next to cover that is near those small bait fish that you're seeing. Boy, I got some burps, some little indigestion going on with you, boy. That's all right, though. We'll get through it. What did he catch a 12 on? Maze, what did he catch a 12 on if you're still in chat? Hold that picture up there a bit longer so I can figure out that spot. Mike Bray's trying to be hole buzzard #1. I see you, Mike Bray. Well, let me see if I can figure it out. I can't. There's one knock in the background and nothing else. It's hard to see. Listen, hey, you know all those guys? Hey, top secret guys. You know all those guys that blur out the backgrounds on their pictures? You know why? It's because every time they see a fish picture, this is what they do. They go. That's how they look at fish pictures. They're trying to see where you're at in the background, so they assume everybody's doing it. So that's why they blur out their backgrounds. Caught it on the 6-inch shaky head plum worm, dude. That's the deal. The 12 was caught on the 6-inch shaky head plum worm. I mean, whether it's a smash tech worm, a 6-inch divine shaky head worm, the big straight tail worm on the 6-inch shaky head, that might be the key to the whole deal, is the 6-inch divine shaky head. It is the best shaky head on the market. Like, I know I'm sponsored by 6-inch. There's nobody that's going to sit here and come on a live feed with me and look me in the eye and tell me they've got a shaky head that's better than a 6-inch divine shaky head. It doesn't exist. It's the best one on the market. It's at 6inchfishing.com. You can go order them, guys. Like the Catwalk Topwaters, order those. Hey, be sure you use that code, Your Lake Fork Guide, save you 10%. Mo Kirkland asked, that's kind of an odd question. What is your go-to bait when using forward-facing sonar? Whichever one they'll bite. I mean, I think a jerk bait's the easiest thing to use if they're shallow enough to use it. Like if there's a spinning or they're shallow enough to come to a jerk bait's the easiest one to use because it's got the start-stop, suspend, it'll pause in their face, all that. But man, crankbaits, swim baits, I've caught them on wacky worms doing that, jigs on that. Alabama rigs are phenomenal on live sonar. So it's yeah, I mean, it just depends, man. It depends on the cover, it depends on the time of year. There's so many factors in that. So just whatever I can get them to bite. Jim Richards says, Chris looks good when he cleans up and maintains his silence. Dignified looking even. I love it. So I'm assuming you're referring to the most interesting man in the universe over here, who's been around for a very, very long time. Like, his head is hanging on by a thread. I could just tap him and his head would fall over backwards. Chris, who he's referring to, is my buddy that does my podcast with me on Sunday nights. Yes, I like that reference. It's very good. Wanting to book a guide trip with you, or the big fish still biting? Well, if you watch the first half of this report, if you missed it, as soon as we're done, go back and watch the first half. The answer to that is, oh yeah. Oh yeah, the big fish are biting. So, yes, book one right now. Go to yourlakeforkguide.com, book a trip right now. If you can't get on my schedule, we'll get you with another one of our guides. We're catching big fish very consistently right now. that happened to him during the all-nighter. It sure did. Those are things we do not speak of. If you haven't been here long enough to know about the all-nighter on Facebook, it happened. It was the real thing. There's no evidence of it anymore. I made sure of that. But it did. We did have an all-night live stream once upon a time. It may have involved too much of what's in this cup, if you know what I'm saying. What kind of electronics? Here, I'll answer one more question, then we're going to wrap it up. What kind of electronics do you use? I love Lowrance, but I think Humminbird and Garmin are just as good. They're all a little bit better at different things. Mapping and sonar, Lowrance has the hands down nod, in my opinion. Down imaging and side imaging, Humminbird is the best, but Lowrance is like really, really close. On Garmin, side imaging, down imaging, and sonar and mapping are not nearly as good as they are on the other brands. I'm just going to tell you they're not. If you're running all Garmin's, you're at a loss. You're at a disadvantage other than the live sonar situation. So mapping, sonar, Lowrance, down imaging, side imaging, Humminbird, but not by a lot over Lowrance. Lowrance is really good too. Humminbird 360 is all its own, and it's almost a must-have. For me, it's a must-have. If you do it all the time like I do, it's a must-have. Now, when it comes to live sonars, I think Lowrance actually has the best one. The best trophy bass live sonar fisherman on earth, Josh Jones, thinks Lowrance is the best one. He was one of the first guys on the Garmin Live Scope deal, and he switched to Lowrance and has sung its praises ever since he switched. I think Lowrance Active Target has the best live sonar on the market. I really do. I think Garmin is really, really close. I'm hearing a lot of good things about their new update, their new version, Super Live or whatever it's called. I don't remember what it's called. I can't ever keep it with all the names and stuff. But the new version of Garmin is supposed to be basically about like Lowrance Active Target. Here's the deal. It tells you Lowrance is better than the original Garmin Live Scope, though. Garmin wouldn't have released a new one if their already existing one was as good as Lowrance. Active Target is the best one on the market. The Mega Live, from what I hear, I haven't seen it myself, is definitely behind both Garmin and Lowrance in live sonar. So the ideal setup to me is to have a Lowrance graph for mapping and sonar at your console, a Humminbird graph at your console for down and side imaging, up front, a Lowrance graph for active target, a Lowrance graph for mapping and sonar, and a Humminbird for 360. So no Garmin anywhere in that. No Garmin anywhere in that, in my opinion. That's just, in fact, I just put in an order for a boat today. Actually, today, I put in an order for a boat, and those are the graph setups that I requested. Doing what I do, making my living, and not being sponsored by any electronics company, being able to pick and choose whatever I want. I picked a Lowrance, a Humminbird at the console, and two Lowrances and a Humminbird for 360 only at the bow. That's my opinion. Yes, I'm going to be the guy that has 5 graphs. I'm going to be the guy that I've always made fun of. That's who I am now. I've reached that point in my life. I'm getting old, and I'm settling into just quit fighting all the stereotypes or whatever. I'm just going to be the guy I've always made fun of. Sometimes these electronics can cost more than the boat. Well, luckily for me, I run a Skeeter boat, and it is a very expensive boat. But luckily for me, my boat dealer, Nautical Mile Marine, is phenomenal. Skeeter Boats is phenomenal, and those guys appreciate what I've done to promote the brand over the years. And I get enough discount on that Skeeter boat that I can afford to finance. Can't pay it outright, but we'll finance all those electronics. All right, guys. Hey, thank you so much for joining us live on a Saturday night. I've got to go cook dinner for my kids and for the princess, Miss Laney. Y'all know she's always around. She's like in my hip pocket all the time, man. She's right through this garage in the house. We got to go cook dinner for the boys, and I'm going to go throw some meat on the grill. Maybe drink 1 or 2 more of these brown waters and have a great night. I hope you guys have just as good a night as we're about to. I certainly appreciate you joining us. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you guys doing everything everything that y'all do for this channel. It's so appreciated from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll see you next time right here. Cheers, y'all, on your Lake Fork Guide.